Flint water crisis making international headlines as the National Guard is called into the city to help.
There is breaking news tonight in the Flint water emergency. The EPA's regional administrator who covers Michigan resigned this evening. Also, President Obama says the state will have $80 million in federal funds by next week.
Flint water crisis back on center stage. How it happened, how it will get fixed. Another round of hearings set for this week in Congress.
It's an unprecedented crisis. It's a public health crisis. There's an infrastructure crisis, and those are two things that the city of Flint has never experienced.
This is, it's not unprecedented, but it's pretty close, right? I mean, for Flint, it's about as bad as it comes, and people don't experience this very often. And never thought I'd have to deal with this. It takes up about 7 days a week of my time. And my constituents feel it 24 hours a day.
And that's one of the ironies, is that we're in Flint, Michigan, the Great Lakes state, which has the largest freshwater source on earth. But in Flint, we can't get clean water. That's a problem.
The water switch happened in April of 2014, and right away, people knew it was off. It looked gross, it smelled gross, it tasted gross. People were complaining, but Flint had lost democracy, so their voices were not being heard. And then in the summer of 2015, we heard from a Virginia Tech team led by Dr. Edwards, this renowned engineer, that there was the possibility of lead in the water. And when pediatricians, public health people hear anything about lead, it's a call to action. I began kind of my crusade to see if that lead in the water was getting into the bodies of children. But we had a sense of urgency, a professional, a moral, an ethical obligation to alert the community about the possibility of lead getting into the bodies of our children. And when we did release our findings, we were dismissed, just like the people had been dismissed for 18 months, just like the moms and the pastors and the politicians and the experts. We were also dismissed and discredited. I was called an unfortunate researcher, that I was causing near hysteria, and that the state's data was not consistent with my data. And that continued for a good week and a half to 2 weeks, and then finally the state relooked at their numbers and announced that actually my numbers were correct and that there was a lead problem.
She's been, a champion here in the city of Flint, and people look up to her. She's very well respected. She cares about the people, she's compassionate, she knows what needs to happen, and so she's just been wonderful for us to have here.
And Mona is just such an amazing person. She's so solution-driven. She gives people hope, she gives people honest answers, and she's just so strong. For such a little woman, she's very strong. It's amazing, it's very inspiring.
It's been surreal to be the face of this crisis, especially because there are so many incredible champions in the story. Most importantly, the people of Flint who never stopped fighting for their community. These incredible moms, the pastors, the religious leaders, the politicians, our legislators, the water experts. There have been so many heroes in the story. It's been said that it takes a village to save a village, and this was a strong and resilient village that fought to be saved. I am an immigrant, so I was not born in the States. So we were Iraqi American and Chaldean, came to the States when I was about 5. And as most kind of first generation families, education was the focus. I was strongly influenced by both my parents. My father is a PhD, a metallurgical engineer. He just retired from General Motors Research after working for 32 years. My mom is a chemist. I think my parents have been my greatest influences. I grew up with the history of injustice. Having to flee a country because of injustices. And I was taught at an early age the value and the privilege of being here in America, and that I should use my resources to always fight for injustices, no matter what community I may be in.
She has really stood strong and fought for those families, especially those kids in our community, and without her, I don't know where we'd be. I mean, she truly is a hero.
And it continues to keep me up at night because our work is just beginning. We have a long road ahead of us to ensure that our kids have the brightest future possible. And my focus it continues to be the children. There's a lot of people focused on the investigations and the accountability and who did what and who knew what and who knew what when. But my focus has always been on the kids and what we need to be doing for the kids now and what we need to be doing for them in decades to come.